Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca. Let's talk about makeup. Today I'm here to update you on my ColourPan Project Pan for the month of June. This is a Pantastic Ladies Collab project created by Misty from Misty Pans. She created this project to help us get a little bit more use out of our Colourpop products. It also includes the Colourpop sister brands Fourth Ray Beauty and Soul Body. So what I've been doing with this project is I have been trying to get use on every single Colourpop product in my collection, and I actually have quite a few. I have more eyeshadow palettes than I do have any other kind of product. So for the first 4 months of this project, I was going through my Colourpop eyeshadow palettes at the rate of 1 palette per month. However, I started the year with 14 Colourpop palettes, and I have purchased a couple more since the beginning of the year, unwisely. So I knew that there was going to be several months where I had to double up. So this last month, that is what I did. I pulled in 2 palettes, my The Child palette and Or Kid You Not. These are 2 of my favorite Colourpop palettes in my collection. Let's talk about this one first. This is the Child palette. This is what she looks like on the inside. This is just such a pretty palette, and it is actually a little bit more, I feel like, versatile than it looks like initially. You open it up and you think, well, if I want a green look, I know where to get one. But if you just cover up these ones, if you were to just use these, and maybe even this one here, which kind of, this is a Super Shock that has a little bit of a golden shift to it, you would get a really beautiful neutral kind of bronzy look. There is a little bit of green in this gold here, but it is not enough to tip it over to being a green look. So yeah, you can absolutely get a really nice green look out of this, but you can also get a really nice neutral bronzy look out of it as well. My favorite way to use this palette is to combine the warm colors with the greens. It's what I've done on my eyes today. And I love every single shadow in this palette, every single one. They perform beautifully. They're just gorgeous on the eyes. I'm never disappointed when I reach into this palette, and I have had so much fun playing with it this month. I pulled it in for 5 uses, and I have used it 5 times. So let's talk about how many times I have used each individual shade. We're going to start out with this top row here. This is Precious Cargo, Right Hand Mando, and Just Like a Tatooine. So this is Precious Cargo. Because this is a Super Shock, sometimes it's a little harder to pick it up, but I think you can see the reflectivity there. So I'm using it on my inside corner here, and you can see it actually comes off pretty darn opaque. I did have to use a fair amount of it to get that opacity, but that is how I prefer to wear it. So that is Precious Cargo. I used Precious Cargo 2 times, including today. This is Right Hand Mando. This is a really lovely silvery sage color. I'm wearing this one on the inside third of my lid, and I have used that 3 times. The third one here on this row is Just Like a Tatooine. It's kind of hard to see it against my skin tone right now. It's a good blending out transition shade for me, and this I have used 4 times. Moving on to the next row, we have Sipping Soup, Babyface, and The Force, this beautiful bronzy old gold kind of color. Sipping Soup, such a pretty light reflective green. And then this is Babyface here. It's not swatching amazingly, but I have found it goes on the eye really, really well. I have not been unsatisfied with the quality of any of these shades. So it is this just light sagey green, really pretty. And then the last one is The Force, this gorgeous old gold color with just a little bit of a green shift in there. It really reminds me of the MAC Pigment Old Gold from way back when. So Sipping Soup I have used 3 times. Babyface I used twice, and The Force I used 3 times. Third row, this is Little Frog, Float Your Crib, and Droid Protocol. These are all matte shades. Well, okay, not really. The Little Frog shade, that's this one right here, is a sequin shade. That means that it is a matte with some shimmer throughout. However, I have found when used with a fluffy brush, it performs like a matte on the eye, and that's generally how I use it. If you pack it on, you can preserve some of that sparkle if you want to, but that's generally not how I use sequin shades. So I have used Little Frog twice. This is Float Your Crib. I have used this 3 times. Again, this is not swatching amazingly, but it really does go on the eyes so nicely. And then last, this is Droid Protocol, the deep brown in here. And I have used that 3 times as well. So that's the palette. Such a beautiful, beautiful palette. I have been so pleased with it, and I've really, really enjoyed being able to spend some time with that palette this month. Or kid you not was a little bit more of a stretch for me this last month. During the summertime, my makeup tends to be a lot more light and natural, and this for me is just, it's a kabam palette. This is drama in a palette. And so it was a little bit more of a struggle for me to get in my 5 uses than the child palette was, but we managed to get there. So let's talk about how many times I used each of these. We're going to start out with this row here at the top. This is Pretty One, Rebloom, and Of All Purple, which is a little bit of a duochrome shade there. So this is Pretty One, that really soft lilac shimmer there. This is Rebloom, the lightest of all of the mattes in the palette. Really beautiful berry shade. And then All of Purple is this slightly duochrome-y shimmer. There's kind of a lilac shift to this one. Really nice. I used this 3 times, 4 times, and 2 times. Then on the next row we have Moth, which is this very deep kind of burgundy color. OMG, one of the 2 darker shimmers in the palette. And then Ada, really rich berry tone. Moth, I only actually used this one once. Then I used OMG. This one I used 3 times. I don't know what is going on, but my swatches are kind of letting me down today. This is another palette, however, that I really don't have any complaints about quality. They're just such rich, beautiful, blendable colors. And this last one is Ada. It's really deep, gorgeous burgundy berry color. Oh, so pretty. So I used Moth once, OMG 3 times, and Ada 3 times. I just want to point out that I am cleaning off my fingers in between swatches. They're just a little stained at this point. Last row, Buddies, Seedling, and Nuh-uh. I don't really get the names in this palette, but sure, whatever you want, Colourpop. So this is Buddies. Oh gosh, look at that. So delicious. That's the cooler purple in the palette. I used that one 3 times. This is Seedling, the darkest shimmer in the palette. I used that one 3 times. This last one is Nuh-uh. Gosh, look at that. The deepest of the mattes, and I used that one 3 times as well. Honestly, this color palette is really, really right up my alley. I think the only reason why I struggled with it a little bit over this last month is because it has been a very no makeup / no makeup month for me. So the number of times I felt like I wanted to break out a really dramatic, bold eye look, I haven't had a lot of those occasions this last month. And that's why I kind of struggled to get my uses in. But we managed to do it, and I got 5 uses on this palette. That's the biggest downside to this palette, is now my arm is just going to look like that for a while. So we were rolling both of those palettes out. For the non-eyeshadow palette products, I rolled in my lippy stick in the shade Fab. I rolled this in for 5 uses, and I have used it 5 times. Each time that I used it in conjunction with Cami, which is the lippy sticks that I had in the previous month. But I have found that the combination of these 2 is just so much prettier than either one of them alone on my particular undertone. This one tends to pull a little warm and orange on me, which is not as big a deal now in the summertime as it is in the wintertime, but this one tends to pull a little bit saturated and pink on me. The 2 of these together are just lovely, and I enjoyed wearing them that way. So this is Fab, and this is Cami right here. Again, a little bit more saturated than I tend to like it, but then combining the 2 is just about perfect. Do you see that? Perfect. I love love this combined shade that the two of these make. So that is the way I have been using these two this month. Next, I've rolled in two single shadows. One of them is my Super Shock shadow in the shade Corsage. I'm actually wearing this today alongside the Child palette here. It is this beautiful sagey green color, perfect for pairing with this this palette, just to give it a little bit more kapow, you know? Really have enjoyed this one. It rolled in for 5 uses and I have used it 5 times. Second, I also rolled in this one. This is my Jelly Much eyeshadow in the shade Bouquet. This is one that I used in conjunction a couple of times with the Or Kid You Not palette, as I felt like those really complemented each other. That soft pinky lilac there. It's got some, there's, like most of the Super Shocks and Jelly Much shadows from Colourpop, there is some nuance in this color that I just don't feel like is coming through on camera. Both of these are just really pretty and I have enjoyed them. I rolled the Bouquet in for 5 uses like the rest of these products, but I have only used it 3 times. So I am going to be rolling it through to the next month to get those last couple of uses. And these last 2 products are products that are in here to stay until they're finished. They are my Super Shock blush in the shade Drop of a Hat. We used this 14 times since my last update, and this is what we're looking like now. I have some before and after pictures to show you. Now you're going to notice that this is one of only 2 sets of before and after photos that I have to show you in this video, and that's because with the other products there just was no visible change. So I'm only showing you the photos that actually have some visible change. I've been working on this since the beginning of the year. It is one of my 24 and 24, and we are making some really good progress on this blush. This is one of my favorite blushes of all time. I'm pretty sure as soon as it's gone, I'm gonna miss it, and then I'm just gonna go out and buy it again, because this warm, peachy, golden loveliness, it's just so freaking delicious. It gives me all of the good feels that Milani Luminoso used to give me, but just a little bit more pink, you know? A little less gold, a little more pink. Love that blush. I think it probably is my favorite blush in my entire collection. And I have a few. That one is staying in the project until she is completely finished. Likewise, I rolled in this Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Flying Horses to replace my Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Champagne Mommy, which was also in to finish and which we did complete. And she's done too. Look at this. Flying Horses, all done. This is one of 3 lip products that I have finished this year, and it is my second Colourpop Ultra Glossy Lip. I am so pleased with that. As far as whether or not I would repurchase this, I talked a little bit about this in my empties at the beginning of the month, which you would have already seen this in that video if you've watched it. I think that the Colourpop Ultra Glossy Lips are just they're just very basic lip glosses. There is nothing bad about them. There's nothing particularly special about them either. And while I might pick up another Ultra Glossy Lip if there was a color that was really interesting to me, I have so many lip glosses, or rather, I have so many lip gloss formulas that I prefer to this one that I find a lot more special than this particular lip gloss. I don't know that I will end up picking up another one of these Ultra Glossy Lips. Again, unless I find a color that is just really appealing to me. Or in case I need something to bump my Colourpop order up over the free shipping threshold. Who knows? Who knows? I can't make any promises. So usually at this point, I will randomize 2 eyeshadow palettes to work on this coming month. And then I will also randomize 2 or 3 non-eyeshadow palette products as well. However, at this point, we've kind of come to the bottom of the list. We have used almost every single non-eyeshadow palette Colourpop product that I have, with the exception of this little lip liner here. This is my Colourpop lip liner in the shade BFF3. She's a little grungy right now, so I'm not gonna give you an up close look. Well, okay, yeah, fine, we will. Okay, she's a little gnarly, okay? Don't judge me. Now, I actually just rolled this into my 50 Shades of Brown project pan. However, since this is the only non-eyeshadow ColourPop product that I have that has not yet made it into this project, I'm going to go ahead and roll it into this project as well for 5 uses. And we're going to be rolling through this Jelly Much eyeshadow in for another 2 uses as well. And I'm going to call it there. I'm going to just kind of go easy on myself a little bit this month. It's been a little bit of a struggle this last month for me to keep up with my projects, simply because it's been, as soon as summer set in, things got really busy. I've been wearing a lot less makeup. I just haven't had as much time to devote to all of my projects and their usage goals. So I am going to draw 2 more eyeshadow palettes because we really do have to hustle if I'm going to get through all of them by the end of the year. I'm also going to make a little bit of an amendment to the way I'm going to be using the palettes. To this point, I have been using each palette 5 times and trying to create a comprehensive look out of that eyeshadow palette each of those 5 times, so I can really evaluate the utility of the palette to me as a whole. However, because of everything I've just said about, struggling to kind of keep on top of these projects and to keep it something that is fun for me, that I'm really enjoying and wanting to participate in, I'm going to amend that and I'm going to go through the next couple of palettes in a no pan left behind sort of way. I'm going to use each palette as many times as I need to in order to use each of the shadows at least once. We're probably going to get more than one use on some of the shadows, just depending on what they end up being. But yeah, that is going to be my goal, just at least for this summer. We're going to go for the no pan left behind approach for these palettes. So I have my little wheel here that has all of my ColourPop palettes, with the exception of the palettes that we have already used in this project. And I think there are 10 palettes remaining, and there are only 6 months left in the year. And actually, this project went from January 18th to December 18th. So we actually only have 11 months in the year. So yeah, I got to get a move on. So we're just going to roll for 2 of these palettes that I'm going to go ahead and use in a no pan left behind manner over the next month. So Going Coconuts. It's a good one. And my 1111 palette. Oh my gosh. I love this palette. I love this palette. These are both very neutral palettes too, and that's kind of a relief to me, just given the way I have been doing my makeup just for this last month or so. I think I can use a little bit of neutral right now. So I will be right back and we will take a look at these palettes. All right, so first, let's take a look at my Going Coconuts palette. This palette is a mess. I'm just fair warning, this palette is a mess. My now 5-year-old got her fingers into this when she was much younger, and she really did some damage. She did some damage, okay? I don't even think my 2-year-old now, who is absolutely my wildest baby, has done this much damage to an eyeshadow palette. I guess this makes my job a little bit easier since we're going through it, no pan left behind, and I am missing 2 shades. So yay me, I guess. This is also one of my favorite ColourPop eyeshadow palettes that I've had. I've actually considered repurchasing this one because of the damage here. But then I thought, no, Rebecca, that's dumb. Just use what you have. I have been tempted though. This is just a really solid neutral palette. It's not quite as cool as the That's Taupe palette in my opinion, but it is just really solidly neutral and I have very much enjoyed this. So let's do a little swatch. It's the fun part of this, right? So up here on top, this is the top row, we have Shredded. Palm Reader, unfortunately, is missing. And then I have Colada here in the corner. So this is Palm Reader, which is just a really very basic ivory shade here. I do really like a kind of a darker crease with a light matte lid. That is a look that I really, really enjoy, and it's one that I can get very easily out of this palette. Then this is Colada here, which is this lovely kind of desaturated, not too warm transition shade there. really enjoy that one. These, the quality on this palette is lovely. I know Colourpop can be occasionally a little bit hit or miss, but this one is definitely a hit. Then here on this middle row, we have Lovely Bunch, Cocoa Crush, and Shelia, which is probably my favorite, my favorite shadow here. And so this is Lovely Bunch. Another very, not quite as cool as this one, but a very neutral. Gosh, can you even see it? There you go. It's blending in with my skin tone. However, the skin on my face is a bit lighter than the skin on my arms right now. So this will actually show up a lot better on my eyelids than it's showing up on my arm right now. And then we have Cocoa Crush, which is this beautiful Super Shock. It is so shiny and beautiful and just delicious. Love that one. And then this is Shelia here. Again, that's going to show up way better on my eyes than it is showing up on my arm right now. And this last row here, we're missing it, Get Cracking, which I don't remember even what these missing shades were, but we have De Coco here in the middle and then Nutty on the end. So De Coco is the darker shimmer in the palette. It's really beautiful, neutral, bronzy taupe shade there. So pretty. And then this really deep, dark, neutral brown there on the end. So that is Going Coconuts. It is, yes, it's very basic, but it is such, I feel the same way about this palette that I do about That's Taupe. They are actually very similar. I feel like the undertone of That's Taupe is a little bit cooler and pinkier than the Going Coconuts, and Coconuts is more of a true neutral palette. True neutral, like not too warm, not too cool, right down the middle palette. But similarly to the That's Taupe palette, I feel like this is a palette that's it's just easy. It's so simple to just go into this palette and just pick any 2 or 3 shades. You can't mess it up. There is no way to go wrong with this palette. And that kind of easiness is something that I'm really looking for in my life right now. It's really easy to get just a barely there eyeshadow look out of this, but I can actually, with this shade, these shades here, I can actually get something really deep and smoky too, if I so desire. Next, this is my 1111 palette. Man, this is palette, I got this toward the end of last year, and this is the palette that I purchased in order to keep myself from purchasing Natasha Denona's I Need a Nude palette. I feel like this palette, combined with the little Starlet Natasha Denona mini palette, give me everything that I need from I Need a Nude. Now, I make no promises. I may one of these days break down and buy the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette, but I know for sure that I do not need that palette. I don't need a nude. I don't actually. I might want one, but I don't need one. And this palette is part of the reason why. Everything that I would want the I Need a Nude palette to do for me, this palette, in conjunction with the Starlet palette from Natasha Denona, it fills that gap in my collection. And I just love these cool. There's some warmth in here too. There is a combination of cool and warm, which actually is my preference. I don't love a completely cool eye, and I don't love a completely warm eye. I, generally speaking, like to combine the two. I like a cool crease with a warm shimmer on the lid, or vice versa. And I can get that in abundance here. Now, is it super neutral? Yes. Yes, it is. Do I still love it? Yes, I do. So we're going to start here at the top. These are the newer, larger pans that Colourpop is doing. I don't know that I love these larger pans. So on this top row, we have Total Angel, Manifest It, which is a very dry, kind of hard-packed shimmer. Good Thoughts, and Balanced. So that is Total Angel, very frosty white color there. This is definitely an inner corner shadow for me. I think that's the only circumstance under which I would probably use a shade like this. And this is Manifest It. That's that more hard-pressed, kind of drier shimmer shade. Really pretty. Much more yellow. Then here's Good Thoughts, which is this soft camel color. And then Balanced is this beautiful pinky shimmer. Gosh, that's just gorgeous. I feel like you're seeing more of the silver kind of white reflection in it than the pink. I feel like the pink is a lot more apparent in person than what I'm seeing on camera. Because these two are looking really, really similar, but in real life, they're not at all. My gosh, the rest of these swatches just will not budge. Go away. Oh my goodness. Okay, I give up. All right. Second row, we have Protection, Major Change, Reflect, which is the pressed glitter in the palette, and Lucky Babe. There we go. So this is Protection, just the soft pinky neutral. Really enjoy this particular shade. Again, it's going to show up way better on my eyes than it's showing up here on my arm. Then we have Major Change, this lovely pewter shimmer. Gosh, it's gorgeous. And then here is the only pressed glitter in the palette, which is called Reflect. Kind of this grungy, bronzy gold color. Not the worst glitter that I've ever seen, but it's not my favorite part of the palette. And then Lucky Babe here. Also a bit of a pinky undertone to this one. I don't know if you can see that against my skin right now. Very useful for blending out darker shadows. Then on the bottom row, we have Perfect Harmony, Right Path, Empowered, and Divine. So this is Perfect Harmony, probably my favorite shade in the entire palette. That just, oh, it does everything for me. That kind of grayish, purplish, neutral. It's like a minky, color that I don't know, that in a sad beige house you might find throw pillows on the couch in this color. And I just love it. I feel like this shade does for me what those really orangey brown colors did for everybody, during this 2016-2017 era. This doesn't have any shimmer in it. I'm just getting some transfer from this shade here. It's just getting everywhere, but this one is a matte. Then we have Right Path, which is a warmer brown. It's very firmly pressed in the pan here. I don't know if that's just my palette, but it's making it not swatch the best. I personally have no complaints as far as the quality of these shadows, but some of them aren't swatching the best. Then we have Empowered here, which is this deeper neutral brown. And then finally, this charcoal shade is Divine. Now this is a sequin shade, so that means it's a matte that has some shimmers in it. That is the 1111 palette. Again, very neutral palette, but I don't mind. I am not complaining about that in the least. This is just one of my favorite palettes. I know I keep saying that. I really do love the majority of the Colourpop palettes that I have tried. There have been a few duds. There have been a few palettes that I have liked less than others. Some of them have just been, quibbles I had with the color story. A few of them have had what I consider quality issues or inconsistent quality, but the vast majority of the Colourpop eyeshadow palettes that I own, I have really, really enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to using both of these. And that is what I'm going to be working on. We're rolling in these two palettes here, as well as this little lip liner in the shade BFF3. And we are going to roll through this Jelly Much eyeshadow in the shade Bouquet to get a couple of more uses that we weren't able to get this last month. And that is everything. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.